Greetings. I'm Dr. Hodgebottom. Here you see, at the Museum of Fine Art, and, well, it's really just the Museum of Fine Art, and I'm the caretaker. We don't get very many visitors. It's always a pleasure to show you. Here you see we have The Bird by Buchholz, a great artist of the 90s, and he died recently, very sad to say. Here you see in The Bird, there's a large bird in the foreground, but really, the hidden meaning behind this piece is the volcano in the background. We think it represents pent-up anger, you see. The volcano's getting ready to burst, ashes flowing from it, much like, you know, hot temper, overflowing emotions and feelings. House on the Side is a very popular artistic representation of depression, as you say. And we're not really sure what the bird represents, but you see the look in the bird's eyes may represent something, some feelings. The artist, many artists, such as Picasso, Monet, Da Vinci, tried to mimic this great, masterful art piece with a bird, the look in his eyes, and you don't know the all singing back. Moving on, here you see we have a great artwork. It's entitled Lily Pads and Green Something or Others in the background, and it's basically orange flowery things. We're not sure, but the whole point is you're not sure. That's the whole great point of Katari. Just something artwork. And you'll see, here we have, oh yes, this is the artist's untalented younger brother, Schnitzelbrain. And you'll see here, he has it's an artist's renditioning of a Star Wars X-Wing. A very poor artwork. We took it in, feeling pity on the young failing artist, and you know what happened to Hitler when he became a failing artist. And you see we have here Garfield. This is more of the younger failing brothers. Artist rendition of Garfield. You notice very terrible artwork. He doesn't think he look a bit thing like Garfield. To Roxanne, Merry Christmas. Isn't that sweet? He earns brownie points for good Christmas. Look at this terrible background. You see, this doesn't even look like John, and we don't even know who this little boy here is, but his face, I can assure you, is very unorthodox. Well, you see, here is more great artwork by Paul. You see, I believe this represents artist's ideal anti-utopia of some sort, if you will. Because, you see here, everybody has a blue nose with a slit in the middle. We're not sure what that represents. It's pure genius that we can't begin to comprehend. You see, there's fish bowls everywhere. We believe fish are very commonplace. You see, the title of the piece is Kuroehut, and we're not really sure what that means yet either. The artist died before interpretation could be extracted from his genius brain. Here you see we have a screaming dark lady with something or others in the background. She's standing on charcoal, screams of agony. The red lines represent waves and waves of anguish and agony she's feeling from standing on the hot charcoal. You see there's a green slit in her belly where your green organs are exposed from eating too much cod liver oil. And down here, yes, we have Paul's renditioning of two Chinese something or others. Represents his fine knowledge of what Chinese artwork appreciates. Great style Chinese artwork. It's very brilliant. You see here, we have the title of the dog. The paper is wrinkled and little roughness are left at the top for effect. Creates a very rugged, savage look to the art piece. You see, the dog is looking questioning up. You see, this blue is the genes of the mouse is standing there. The dog is so loyal, innocent, looking up into the eyes of his master. But you see the red represents the dog being soon to be beaten into the ground. It's terrible the way we treat our animals in this society. We believe Paul is trying to get a point across that animals are very mistreated in this society. Moving on here, this is nothing, this is merely nothing, it's not of importance. Here we have a circular flag created by the great late Paul Buchholz himself. It's very amazing how the circles, we can get a close-up on these circles. It's perfectly circular, and it's been known, rumoured I should say, it's not completely kosher, that the circles were drawn freehand by Paul. No tracing or anything, it's quite amazing. As one could say, it muddles the brain. Some would say. Much like the Egyptian pyramids must baffle people today. People can't begin to comprehend Paul. Ah yes, here we have a self-portrait. You see, Paul led a very troubled life. Much of his artwork is crying out in anguish because you can see the artist is horribly disfigured. You notice here his nose is right up between his eyes, which are clearly too high on his face. His mouth is very lopsided, his teeth are all gapped and chunky and square and chipped. Oh yes, he lacks very much the good looks of today's people. His haircut is very awful. His style is terrible. As you see, there's a big hole running from half of his neck down to his whole left arm. It's very terrible the way he was treated. But nonetheless, you'll see, he possesses the qualities. He is persistent, athletic, unselfish and lawful. All the makeups of a great artist of the late 1990s. Yes, over here we have a volcano on paper. It's made out of sand. The volcano is much like, if you remember, The Bird by Buchholz. Volcano is a very popular art figure, something representative. It represents feelings very well. You can see the volcano was actually erupting with lava, not like in The Bird, was merely leaking out ashes. Whereas the volcano erupting represents, oh God, exploding, just literally exploding like the volcano. Erupting emotions pouring out of his head is just ridiculous. So much emotion and feeling inherent in this piece. Yes, over here we have, this is abstract art, very brilliant. And watch this paper, the torn paper creates a ragged effect, much like you've seen the dog in here. Excuse me, pardon me. We're not quite sure what he's meant to represent here in this art piece, but it's very ingenious, so he has overlapping colours. You'll see the red overlaps the yellow right here. Creates a somewhat blending effect. It's very, very genius. Not many artists have been able to mimic it. Over here we see, yes. I believe this is not Paul, nor is his younger brother. This is anonymous artwork, but it's very brilliant. Represents four big aspects of society. It's four smaller art pieces in one greater art piece. You see, here we have green, huge, lush with the Hollywood sign. Represents media, the way media's taken over our society. It's terrible the way media's gotten into our children's heads and poisoned them. And down here you'll see blackened cities. The way nuclear warfare has totally destroyed our worlds, and soon we'll all be living lives. Nuclear fallout will dominate our lives. And you'll see we have blue, which represents Cleveland. Because everybody's so blue these days, it's depressing, it's terrible the way everybody's so sad these days. And down here, we're not sure exactly, we haven't been able to determine this piece. You see a very big purple shark. He's eating a magnifying glass, and we're not sure what's in the magnifying glass. The way it's just sheer brilliance that the human mind can begin to comprehend, my dear lad. Here we have bugs, and we believe each bug, there's four, represents something. You see, this smaller bug represents the Republican Party, while this flying caterpillar bug thing represents Democrats. The Green Party is trying to crawl up the leaf of political society, but it just can't, and this giant wasp represents a sheer amount of stupidity inherent in George Bush's pathetic brain. Here you see we have hands. Each hand represents some terrible aspect of masochism, violence, cruelty to animals. Here we have abuse, child abuse. Here we have mental disabilities, and this great hand is default God, which evil Christians have created. It's terrible, and I can't deal with this anymore. I retire.